What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live duel. Today on the left side here we have Tearlaments going up against Chimera on the right. We're diving on in right away with a copy of the Quaddle here from the Chimera player. Before we dive in quite deeply, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel a lot. We're on the road to 10K here, trying to hit that before the end of the year. And we do see them search for a copy of Mirror Swords Knight. We're going to then normal summon the Mirror Swords Knight, activate its effects, trading itself for cost, being able to summon with a copy of Big Wing. Big Wing can then search us for the Chimera Fusion alongside the copy of the Gazelle. And now we essentially have the materials needed for the King of the Mythical Beast, or whatever it's called, the Fusion card. So we have quite a few options that we can lead to now. We are going to activate the Chimera Fusion. That's going to use the copy of the Gazelle alongside the copy of the Bephermat to go for that copy of the King. Then we're going to be activating both the effects, being able to search and then summon one from the graveyard here, which is quite nice, and then ripping a card during our opponent's turn. We search for the Nightmare Apprentice here, and we summon out the copy of the Mirror Swords Knight. And then we also get to add back the Chimera Fusion, which is quite nice as well. And we now have the Apprentice Illusion by discarding a secondary card. I do believe we discarded a copy of Quaddle. The graveyard functionality here is kind of a little bit of a mess, but we are going to be searching for a copy of a Quaddle again. So I'm assuming that we didn't discard that. We're going to be setting the copy of Chimera Fusion and ripping a card, which is going to be a copy of Tribute Karma here, which can be quite nice. Being able to banish itself to search for any copy of a card that mentions whatever his name is, Visa Starfrost. But being a copy of the Tearlaments Field Spell here, quite nice for that tier strategy. There is a line where you overlay for a copy of Beatrice and then send. But I know a lot of players are not playing that. We're going to be seeing the planet's tier cache going to be activated here, letting us search for any planets or any Tearlament monster here. And we do respond with an Ash Blossom. We're going to be seeing a copy of Super Poly. Then we're going to be Super Poly here is going to be discarding the copy of a Shuffler to fusion summon into a Dracosepelia here. This is insane for Tearlaments. Which you can then normal summon out a copy of Rhinoheart, sending to the graveyard a copy of. Do we go for Tier Cache to mill 2 more? We are going to be choosing Tier Cache to mill 2 more. And we mill a copy of Nessie and I believe a Grief. I was not too familiar with the other card. We do see a Talents in the hand as well to be able to draw 2 more cards, because we did activate that Ash Blossom. And we drew into a Horus card here. I believe a Horus and a copy of Danger? Or not a Danger, but of the Mali here, which we are going to be activating a Sharon, sending the Mali to mill 3. And we hit another copy of the Shuffler and a Nessie here, in which we are going to be, and a copy of Scream, going to be able to add that copy of the Trap. We can then overlay for a copy of the Reader, which can then activate the effect, detaching itself for effect to banish itself, and that's going to let the Scream, or not the Scream, but the Sharon essentially hit the graveyard. We can then activate the effect of the Sharon to use itself, the Rhinoheart, and the copy of Nessie to go into a copy of the Kaleido Heart here, which can we can see a shuffle back and then a pop as well, which we're going to be chaining the Chimera Fusion to this. Using, is that 3 materials for a Guardian Chimera? It is, okay. So then Guardian Chimera is going to let us draw 2 and then pop 1. And then we're also going to be able to activate the effect of Big Wing Bephermat to add back. And we are going to be chaining Dracosepelia to the Guardian Chimera because we do not have a polymerization in the graveyard. And we do shuffle back the Medora, or we're going to activate the Medora here to shuffle back the target, which is going to be the Nightmare Illusion. Okay. Then we're shuffling back the King guy, the Fusion, and the Illusion. They're going to banish the copy of the King to summon out the copy of Nightmare Magician here. Or Nightmare Apprentice. It was Nightmare Magician the first time, which I don't think is really a good card, but if we're playing a bit more of a pure version, then it makes a little bit of sense. And then we're going to be able to summon out the copy of the Apprentice is going to be able to search for a copy of the Wax Guy, which is going to be like kind of like a Battle Fader type stuff. It like turns everything to 0. and just freezes them, if that makes any sense. Turns them into wax, which is kind of cool. The illusion deck is quite nice. But we're going to be activating the effect of the Imsteady, sending the trap to be able to search for a copy of Kingstark. And then we're going to be activating the Kingstark, and we also draw a card. We're then activating the effect we drew into a Mally, which is quite unfortunate. But we're going to be able to dump a copy of the Happy. And now we have essentially a rank 8 in the form of 2 level 8, which we can just use to go into that copy of the zombie vampire here. Or if we just wanted big bodies on the field. We're going to be seeing the tier player think on this. They do still have a shuffler, but they're going to be summoning out the Happy alongside the copy of Imsteady. They're going to be banishing a copy of Danger, or not Danger, but of Mally to summon out the third Mally here. Then we can overlay for a copy of Zombie Vampire. Activating the effect, we're going to be both milling 4 cards. And we see a Havness and a Merly being milled. That is insane. And then we see 2 Gazelles and a Branded Fusion alongside an Imperm on the Chimera side. So playing a Branded Chimera, interesting options to play. I mean, the Branded cards still let you get into a bunch of stuff with the Rinbone lines alongside just having a Mirror Jade, which is quite nice. But we are going to be able to summon out the Merly and then activate the Havness to shuffle back itself in the tier cache. Or we're adding the tier cache to the hand, okay, with that copy of the trap. But we're going into a copy of the Danger here, and then Merly, or not the Danger, of the Dangerous. Then we're going to be seeing Merly going to be milling 3, which is going to hit a copy of the Rhino Heart, which can then discard the copy of the tier cache that we end up drawing into the hand. Unfortunately, we can't chain to it to summon it out because we don't have any bodies, but we can go for a copy of Dark. Dark can then take a Big Wing here. And then we can link away for a copy of Appaloosa. Then we're going to go Battle Phase Attack. We do have the Wax, and then we're going to be chaining a copy of Appaloosa to it to keep it into the hand. And then we're going to be attacking into just to deal some damage, because yeah, the illusion guy cannot be destroyed by battle. That's like the illusion text. But you can still deal some damage with it, which is why you normally summon them in defense position so that you can't take any battle damage. But we did beat over that copy of Guardian Chimera, which is quite nice. And on that, we're going to pass turn. And like we do have a lot of gas to continue playing. We now have a 2-mat Appaloosa, with also a Shuffler, which is important to note, because a Shuffler can trigger the effect of the planet to pop a card. And then, of course, we also have the Kaleido Heart, which is popped alongside that copy of Draco's Depelia here. I'm not too sure how we're going to be seeing the Chimera deck come back from this. But we're just going to scoop it up there. We have 2 good normals. We have a Luber alongside the copy of Mirror Swords Knight, which is why I think that we don't see very much with the Chimera deck with the branded engine anymore into it, because there is a little bit of conflict when it comes to your normal summons. We have like so many good cards now, including the Nightmare Apprentice and stuff like that, being able to like be essentially a silent mining for the deck. Like the deck does quite a bit, especially when you start pairing it up with those copies of like Beatrice, being able to send the copy of Chimera Fusion if you don't have access to it, or being able to send like a trap, or really anything that's good to like summon back out as well. You can send like a copy of the Dark Barrier Statue as well, which can summon out, hurting a bunch of decks. You know, if you're playing against Melodious, essentially just an auto win. If you're playing against, for example, like Branded, it forces some weird lines. If you're playing against Snake Eye, it actually hurts them quite a bit if they like summon out. Let's say they start off with a Poplar. And then you can just, or let's summon Snake Eyes Ash to activate the effect. You chain, you summon out your copy of your monster, and they are unfortunately can't even summon the popular. They have to have Diabellstar to continue playing, which is quite nice for them, or quite nice for us. But like it's a good generic deck, and it's going to only get more and more support as time goes by with the Chimera archetype alongside an Illusion deck. We see a Link 2 coming next set. That's just for a continuous trap, and then essentially an Omni Negate for 2 cards, or a Spot Negate in this case, where negates 2 of Illusion monsters. So you have the trap, which is considered an Illusion monster, alongside your Link that you normally leave on the field. That's just for your Illusion monster. So kind of nice that we see that, plus maybe having multiple cards on the field as well. Just being a nice little form of interaction, being able to essentially negate. Which does not leave room for the branded cards as well, which I think is interesting that we still see somebody playing them. But we see also a Nightmare Magician, which is probably not the most optimal list in itself. But diving in once again, we're going to be seeing the branded Chimera deck choosing to go first with a copy of Coatl. Coatl can then search us for, we already have the Mirror Swordslight in the hand, so we search for a copy of Mirror Swordslight once again, okay. Which we then normal summon, activating the effect, which is going to let us go for a copy of Bigwing. And then Bigwing can then search us for the Chimera, and the copy of the Fusion. But we are going to be chaining an Impulse here, Rescue Ace Impulse, being able to summon out a Fire Attacker, and we do search for both those cards. Fire Attacker just essentially making let us draw 2 cards, which is quite nice. And because our opponent draws, we get to draw 2. And I believe we have to discard. We're discarding a copy of Havness here, which cannot use its effect. It would be nice if it was able to, though. That'd be kind of crazy. We're going to be seeing a Chimera Fusion activate its effects using the copy of the Bigwing as well as the Gazelle. And we're going to be going for another copy of the King here. And then we're going to be summoning out the copy of Mirror Swordslight and getting the copy of the Nightmare Apprentice to the hand. We then get to activate the effect, adding back the Chimera Fusion once again. And we are in a bit of a good spot. If we do have anything that we want to activate, we have a Havness in the hand. We already have played into Talents, so it doesn't really stop us. But we're going to be setting 2 cards, setting 3 here. And not choosing the Nightmare Apprentice is kind of wild. They're going to be sending a card with the graveyard, being a copy of Imsteady here. That is quite rough. And then we're going to be chaining the copy of Mirror Swordslight in the draw phase to be able to search for a copy of the Bigwing. Bigwing can then search, and we chain a copy of Havness here. And we see a Druisware Magma and a King Sark. We're going to search for that copy of Gazelle and a copy of the Chimera Fusion. And I don't know if the Fire Attacker will let us draw 2 again. But I don't believe it does. Okay. We're going to then activate the effect of the planet. And our opponent is thinking on this. We're going to let us search here for most likely a Rhino Heart, which can then activate its effects, sending a copy of Shiren. And that's going to be able to activate, putting back that itself and the Merly if needed. Yes, itself, Merly, and the Kaleido Heart, yeah. Or the Rhino Heart to go for the Kaleido Heart. And then we can activate its effects alongside the planet to pop a back row and then spin back out that copy of the King. And planet popping the middle back row there, yeah. And we do flip up a Chimera Fusion in response. That is a card that is targeted. And we can go for a Chimera Fusion again. But do we just chain a Super Poly to this to get rid of the board? We are going to be chaining Super Poly, sending that Shuffler once again, using 2 monsters, essentially making them only have a pop 1, going for that Mud Dragon. And then they have to resolve the Chimera Fusion. I'm going to see them go for the big Illusion Boy. And then we get to activate the effect of the Havness to Fusion Summon, putting itself and the Mud Dragon to go into a Draco's Depelia. Yep, that's checks out. We also have a Shuffler now, which is pretty nice. You know, whenever they activate the effect of in the graveyard, we'll be able to do it. And they have a Super Poly of their own here, but we can't use the Kaleido Heart, so we have to use the Draco's Depelia and their monster to go into our own Draco's Depelia in this case, which is still quite nice. But we are now going to be seeing through Draco's Depelia target the Kaleido Heart. And we have a King Sark, but we're going to be able to only bring back with the Imsteady here. Which we can still deal some damage though. We're going to declare an attack into the Draco's Depelia, attacking with the Fire Attacker, and then attacking with the Imsteady as well. And Imsteady plus King Sark on the field is quite nice. We could banish the King to bring back a body, but that's going to be most likely hit with that copy of the Shuffler there. We're going to be banishing, targeting to bring out, and they do just chain the Shuffler to that to essentially make them they can't go back into the deck. Or make them so they have to go back into the deck here. We're going to do the Coatl, the Chimera Fusion, and the target that we're using for the Illusion guy. And then we just kind of passed. Like, we can go for an SP if we wanted to, but there's no point. We're just going to pass turn on this. You know, I wonder what that last set is. I know we still have a Mirror Swords Knight in the hand. And we still have the Fire Attacker as well. And a Ghost Ogre too, if I not recall. I just see a little bit of the cards. I don't get to see all the cards in their hand. So we are thinking. I'm not too sure how we clear this board. We know we have a Nightmare Apprentice in the hand as well. So we're going to summon out the Nightmare Apprentice by discarding the copy of... We don't get to see it. It's off camera. I do apologize for that. We're going to get searching for the copy of Coatl here. And then we're going to be seeing Fire Attacker drawing us 2 cards and discarding one. We discard a copy of Trimmy Karma, which can then banish to search for that Scream. We then activate the Coatl to let us search. And we add ourselves the Gazelle, which is a really good normal summon, especially if we don't have Chimera Fusion in rotation, because they got shuffled back in. But I think we have another one set, if I'm not mistaken. We're at a normal summon with the Gazelle, activating the effect, searching for that copy of the Chimera Fusion here. We have the Chimera Fusion anyways, so being able to shuffle that back was definitely a little bit of a wrong option, but we can go for the other guy, the Big Illusion, which can attack everything. And it also counts as the king in the graveyard. or king on the field, I guess I should say. So we can always add back with the Chimera. We get the search. We're searching for another copy of Coatl here. And we're dumping a copy of Mirror Swords Knight. Now we have already normaled. We can add back that copy of Chimera Fusion. We already have one in the hand, so it doesn't really hurt us that much. We do add it back anyways. And we activate it once again here. We're using all three to go into a copy of the bigger guy. This is the one that can attack many things. And so we're going to attack into the fire attacker, making it 0. They're at 2,000 here. So yeah, so we're at 8,000 on the tier side, and they're at 2,000. I'm not too sure we'll be able to clear this Tearlaments, because when it gets destroyed, we'll be able to summon back out, send, and then we're going to be seeing the effect of Tear Cash destroy that, which is kind of unfortunate for us. And then instead he is protected by the King Sark. So we're going to attack into the fire attacker. And nothing can be destroyed by battle because of the illusion effect. So we just set one, and then we just pass on this. And we do have the copy of the Gazelle, which can bring back a banish card. Or the other one that just brings back, yeah. So we're banishing him to bring back out the other one. And then we activate a Scream here. And then that's going to essentially make those monsters be down on life point, or down on attack points, which is going to let us just go directly for game. Because whenever we send a card, which we're going to be able to normal summon with the Rhino Heart in a second, which we are going to be able to activate its effects, which is going to be Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, Scream, making everything under losing 500 and our opponents gaining 500. We do Ghost Ogre the Scream here, which is quite nice, being able to stop that effect. We do send the copy of Havness, which can then let us shuffle back into summon. And we get to search off the Scream as well. Be put back to summon out the Mud Dragon. I don't think it truly matters, because then we just get the effect of Planet to pop. But we are thinking, yeah, Planet's going to pop. And we're going to be spinning back. Pop, and then Kaleido Heart will be able to summon itself back out. Send the Shire in here. And then Kaleido Heart will be spinning back the set. And then we're going to be seeing Shire going to activate its effects. We are chain blocking, so we can't get hit with those cards in the graveyard, which is quite powerful. Chain blocking is one of the most important parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to be seeing them put back to then summon out a copy of the Garua. And Garua will be able to attack for 3,000, which is quite nice. We see them go for a copy of Bahamut Shark, which can then let us search for a Toad, or summon out the Toad here, which is just an Omni Negate, which is quite nice. And at this point, we do have game. Maybe just explaining what Toad does. Okay. And we could go into, and we probably don't go for SP because then we can't attack directly, but we go for a Dark. Dark's going to take a big body, and then we can link away those for our copy of Sprin. Sprin can then send Merly. Then Merly can then fusion summon once again, putting those into a copy of Dragostapelia. And then we could just link away for a 3-mat Appaloosa if we wanted to, using the Fire Attacker, the Sprint alongside. Oh, we can't use Sprint as link material to turn it was summoned, right? But they're at 2,000 life points. We have an Omni Negate. We have a Dragostapelia. And we Typhon the Kaleido Heart here. We're going to act with the effect. Bouncing back, I'm going to assume the Illusion. We're going to be negating that with the Mirror Swords Knight. And then we're going to be chaining the Dragostapelia on that. They're going to be chaining the effect of Coatl. We then chain the Toad to negate. Then we're going to be able to attack into it, and then we're going to be able to attack for game here, which is with the 3,000 with whatever his name is, the Garua here, and then we have 29, and I'm just going to solve it there, unfortunately. You know, being able to take those damage by summoning that Nightmare Apprentice and attack position is definitely unfortunate. We summoned in defense, which would have left us, you know, just keeping all that damage to ourselves. You know, taking 6,000 turn 1 is just unfortunate for us, but hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. We do see Tearlaments taking the win here. You know, maybe not playing the most optimal Chimera build, but regardless, hope you still enjoyed watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, see more content like this. Stay safe. Peace.